She read the patient's chart, and her hands went numb. The birth date, the blood type, the organ donor ID number she'd memorized from her own medical records. It couldn't be. It was impossible. But there it was, written in black ink on a hospital form. The patient in room 304 was a biological mother, the heart beating inside her chest. The child she'd given up 23 years ago had saved her life, and she died never knowing. This is a story about how some connections transcend death, and how the greatest act of love can come from someone you've never met. Welcome to Radiant Story and Tales. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you are watching from. Let me tell you about a woman named Elena Martinez, 45 years old, hospital volunteer for 3 years. She pushed book carts through hallways, brought patients warm blankets, sat with lonely elderly folks who had no visitors. She did it twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. People thought Elena volunteered because she was kind. They weren't wrong, but that wasn't the whole truth. Elena volunteered because 5 years ago, she'd received a heart transplant. Someone had died, and their family had chosen to donate their organs. That anonymous gift had given Elena a second chance at life. The guilt was crushing. Someone's worst day had become her miracle. A family somewhere was grieving while she got to keep living, breathing, existing. So Elena volunteered. It was the only way she could think to balance the scales, to honor the gift she'd been given by giving something back. But Elena carried another guilt, one that went back much further, one she'd buried so deep she almost convinced herself it didn't exist. 23 years ago, when Elena was 22, she'd given birth to a baby girl. She was alone, terrified, broke. The father had disappeared the moment she told him she was pregnant. Her family had disowned her. She had nothing. The adoption agency had been kind. They'd told her she was making the right choice, giving her daughter a better life than she could provide, a real family, a real future. Elena had held her baby for exactly 10 minutes before they took her away. 10 minutes to memorize that tiny face, those perfect fingers, that impossible weight in her arms. Then they were gone. Elena had signed the papers. Closed adoption. No contact. The adoptive parents wanted that way, and Elena had no right to argue. She'd given up that right when she gave up her child. For 23 years, Elena had wondered. Every birthday, she thought about a little girl growing up somewhere, learning to walk, learning to read, learning to drive, getting older while Elena got older too, both of them living separate lives that should have been connected. Elena had never tried to find her. That was the deal. That was the sacrifice she'd made. Her daughter deserved parents who wanted her, who could give her everything Elena couldn't. But she'd never stopped thinking about her, never stopped carrying the hollow space in her chest where a daughter should have been. Then 5 years ago, Elena's heart had started failing. Cardiomyopathy. Her heart muscle was dying, and there was nothing anyone could do except wait for a transplant or wait to die. Elena had spent 8 months on the transplant list, 8 months of hospital visits, declining health, wondering if she'd get the call in time. Then one night at 2 a.m., her phone rang. "We have a heart. You need to come in now." Elena didn't know anything about her donor. The hospital couldn't tell her. Privacy laws, they said. All she knew was that somewhere, someone had died, someone young, based on the heart's condition, and their family had made the devastating choice to donate. The surgery had saved Elena's life. When she woke up with someone else's heart beating in her chest, she cried for hours, grateful and guilty in equal measure. 5 years later, Elena still thought about her donor every single day. She'd written letters to the donor's family through the transplant organization, but she'd never gotten a response. Some families couldn't handle contact. She understood that, so she volunteered instead. Gave back in the only way she knew how. That was Elena's life. Hospital volunteer, transplant recipient, woman carrying 2 different kinds of guilt and trying to make peace with both. She had no idea those 2 guilts were about to collide in the most devastating way possible. It was a Thursday afternoon in September. Elena was doing her usual rounds, bringing reading materials to patients who wanted them. She stopped at the nurse's station on the 4th floor to check which rooms needed visits. "Elena, could you check on room 304? Asked Nurse Sarah. "New patient. Just transferred from another hospital. She's going through a rough time. Could probably use some company." "Of course," Elena said. "What's her situation?" Sarah lowered her voice. "Samantha Reed, 23 years old. Stage for cancer. She was adopted as an infant. Recently tracked down her biological mother through one of those DNA websites. Came here specifically to try to meet her." Elena's chest tightened. A 23-year-old adopted daughter searching for a birth mother. It could be anyone. Thousands of adoptions happen every year. But something made Elena's hand shake as she picked up her book cart. Did she find her? Elena asked. "The biological mother?" Sarah shook her head sadly. "That's the heartbreaking part. The mother died 5 years ago. Samantha found her too late. Now she's here, die herself, and she'll never get answers about where she came from." Elena felt like the floor was tilting. 5 years ago? Yeah, tragic, right? The girl's been searching for so long, and she finally found her mother's name just to discover she'd already lost her. Elena's mouth was dry. What was the mother's name? Sarah checked her computer. "Let me see, it's in her file. Here." The biological mother's name was Elena Martinez. Died from heart failure in 2020. Wait. Sarah looked up at Elena. Really looked at her. That's your name." Elena couldn't breathe. Her vision was tunneling. "What hospital did she transfer from?" "St. Catherine's in Phoenix." "Why?" Elena had lived in Phoenix 23 years ago, when she'd given birth, when she'd given her daughter away. "I need to see her file," Elena whispered. "Elena, you can't. Patient privacy." "Please." Elena's voice cracked. "Please, Sarah. I think that might be my daughter." Sarah stared at her. Then, slowly, she turned the computer screen. Elena's eyes scanned the information. Birth date, March 14th, 2003. That was right. Blood type, AB negative. Rare. Same as Elena's. Adoption. Closed through St. Mary's Agency in Phoenix. It was her. It was her daughter. The daughter she'd given away was here, in this hospital, right now. Organ donor status. Deceased donor. Heart donated 2020. No. Elena's hands found her chest. She pressed against her sternum, feeling the steady beat beneath her ribs. Sarah was reading over her shoulder. Her face went white. "Oh my God! Elena, when did you get your transplant?" "March 2020, Elena whispered. "March 15th, 2020. The day after her daughter's birthday. Her daughter's 23rd birthday would have been March 14th, 2020. The file showed the donor death date, March 14th, 2020. Sarah's hand covered her mouth. Elena... But Elena was already moving. She left the book cart. Left Sarah calling after her. Walked down the hallway like a ghost. Room 304. Elena stood outside the door. Her whole body shook. Behind this door was the daughter she'd given away. The daughter she'd wondered about for 23 years. The daughter she'd never stopped loving even though she had no right to. And that daughter had died 5 years ago. Died and given her heart to a stranger. Given her heart to Elena. To her own mother. Neither of them had known. Elena's hand touched her chest. She felt her heartbeat. Strong. Steady. Her daughter's heart. The heart that had grown inside Elena's womb 23 years ago. The heart that had beat its first beat inside her body. It had come home. Elena pushed open the door. The woman in the bed was thin. So thin. Cancer had stolen her strength, her color, her future. But Elena could see it. The shape of her face. The curve of her nose. She looked like Elena had looked at 23. She looked like her daughter. The woman's eyes opened. "Hi, are you the volunteer?" Elena couldn't speak, could only stare. "I'm Samantha," the woman said. Her voice was weak but kind. "You can call me Sam." "I'm..." Elena's voice broke. "I'm Elena." Sam's eyes widened. "Elena? Like That's a coincidence. My birth mother's name was Elena. I know, Elena whispered. Sam sat up slightly, wincing. How would you wait? Do you work here? Did you see my file? Elena stepped closer to the bed. Tears streamed down her face. Sam, I need to tell you something. And I don't know how to say it. Sam looked confused, maybe a little scared. Elena pulled a chair close to the bed, sat down. Her whole body trembled. 23 years ago, Elena began, I gave birth to a baby girl, March 14th, 2003. I was 22, alone, terrified. I gave her up for adoption because I thought it was the right thing to do, because I wanted her to have a better life than I could give her. Sam's eyes filled with tears. You. I never stopped thinking about you, Elena said. Every single day for 23 years. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every moment. I wondered where you were. If you were happy. If you were loved. You're her, Sam whispered. You're my mother. Yes. Sam's face crumpled. I've been looking for you for 3 years. Since I got sick. I needed to know where I came from. Who I was. But they told me you died. They said Elena Martinez died in 2020. That was a mistake, Elena said. I almost died. I was on the transplant list. But I didn't die. I got a heart. Someone donated their heart, and it saved my life. She paused. Her throat closed around the next words. Sam, the person who donated that heart. It was someone who died on March 14th, 2020. Someone with AB negative blood. Someone who... Sam's hand flew to her mouth. No, that can't be. I had a twin sister, Sam whispered. An identical twin. We were separated at birth. Different families adopted us. I only found out about her 2 years ago. Her name was Sophie. Elena's world stopped. She died in a car accident, Sam continued, tears pouring down her face. March 14th, 2020. Our birthday. She was an organ donor. I never knew where her organs went. Never thought to ask. Elena pressed her hand against her chest. Sophie, not Sam. Sam's identical twin sister had been her donor. You've been carrying my sister's heart for 5 years, Sam said. My sister saved you. Saved her own birth mother without knowing. Both women were crying now. The impossible, devastating, beautiful truth settling between them. I have cancer, Sam said quietly. Stage 4. I have maybe 3 months left. I came here looking for you because the records said you lived in this city. I thought maybe I'd find your grave. Say goodbye to someone I never got to meet. But I'm here, Elena said. I'm alive. Because of Sophie. Because of my sister, Sam agreed. She saved you so I could find you. So I wouldn't die alone without ever knowing where I came from. Elena reached out, took Sam's hand. You're not alone. I'm here. I'm your mother, and I'm here. Sam squeezed her hand. I forgive you for giving me away. I had a good life. Good parents. They loved me. It's okay. Those words broke something in Elena. 23 years of guilt, of wondering, of carrying that hollow space. And her daughter was telling her it was okay. Can I? Elena's voice shook. Can I stay with you? However long you have left. I'd like that, Sam whispered. I'd really like that. Elena moved to the bed. Carefully, gently, she wrapped her arms around the daughter she'd given away. The daughter who'd been looking for her. The daughter she'd gotten back just in time to say goodbye. Sam's head rested against Elena's chest, against her sister's heart, beating steady and strong. I can hear it, Sam whispered. Sophie's heart. It sounds just like I remember. Elena held her daughter and cried. For Sophie, who'd saved her without knowing. For Sam, who'd found her mother only to lose time so short. For the impossible way the universe had brought them back together. 3 months. That's all they had. But it was 3 months more than Elena had thought she'd ever get. 3 months to know her daughter. To be her mother, finally, after 23 years. Elena didn't leave the hospital that night, or the next night, or the night after that. She took a leave from her job. moved into Sam's room. The hospital staff bent the rules because how could they not? This was bigger than policy. This was a mother and daughter finding each other at the end. Those 3 months were the most beautiful and heartbreaking of Elena's life. They talked about everything, about Sam's childhood, her adopted parents, her life, her dreams that would never happen now, about Elena's life, her regrets, her journey. Sam wanted to know everything about the moment she was born. Elena told her about those 10 minutes, how she counted Sam's fingers and toes, how she'd memorized every detail, because she'd known it was all she'd get. "You loved me even then," Sam said. "I loved you before you were born," Elena replied. "And I never stopped." They looked through photos. Sam's baby pictures, school photos, prom. Elena cried seeing all the moments she'd missed, but she was grateful to see them now. Sam talked about Sophie, how they'd found each other through a DNA website, how they'd only had 6 months together before the accident, how Sophie had been wild and brave and full of life. "She would have loved knowing her heart went to you," Sam said. "She always wanted to meet you too. This would have made her so happy." "Thank you," Margaret said, "for giving us our daughter. She brought us so much joy." "Thank you," Elena replied, "for loving her when I couldn't." They sat together, 2 mothers united in loving the same girl. On the last day, Sam was barely conscious. The cancer had won. But Elena was there, holding her hand, Sophie's heart beating steady in her chest. "I love you," Elena whispered. "I'm so sorry I didn't get to watch you grow up. But I'm so grateful I got to know you now. You are everything I dreamed you'd be." Sam's eyes flickered, open one last time. "Mom," she whispered. The first and last time she called Elena that. Then she was gone. Elena held her daughter's body and sobbed. The daughter she'd given away. The daughter she'd gotten back. The daughter she'd lost again. But this time, she'd been there. This time, Sam hadn't died alone, wondering where she came from. This time, they'd had each other. Brief, painful, precious. 6 months later, Elena stood in a cemetery. 2 graves side by side. Sophie and Samantha Reed, twin sisters. Born March 14th, 2003. Reunited in death. Elena brought flowers. She did every week. "Thank you," she said to both of them. "Sophie, thank you for saving me. Sam, thank you for forgiving me. Thank you both for giving me a chance to be your mother, even if it was too short." She pressed her hand to her chest, felt Sophie's heart beating. Strong, steady, a gift beyond measure. Elena still volunteered at the hospital, but now she also volunteered at the organ donor registry. She shared her story, about second chances, about impossible connections, about how love can transcend death and time and separation, because Elena had learned something in those 3 months with Sam, something Sophie's heart had taught her. No love is ever wasted. No connection is ever truly broken. And sometimes the greatest gifts come from the deepest losses. Elena had given away a daughter 23 years ago, and that daughter, through her twin sister's heart, had given Elena life, had made sure Elena would be there when Sam needed her most. They'd saved each other, across time, across death, across the impossible odds that had separated and reunited them. That's what hearts do. They remember. They connect. They bring us home to the people we're meant to find, even when it seems impossible. Especially then. This story is a reminder that some connections are stronger than time, stronger than distance, stronger than death itself. The people we love leave pieces of themselves with us, in ways we can't always see or understand. Elena gave her daughter away believing she'd never see her again. But love doesn't work that way. Love finds a way. Through a transplanted heart, through a dying girl's search for her mother, through the impossible, devastating, beautiful way the universe brings people together exactly when they need each other most. If you're carrying guilt for choices you made, for people you've lost, for chances you didn't take, know this, your story isn't over. Love has a way of circling back, of healing wounds we thought were permanent, of giving us second chances in forms we never expected. Hold on. Keep going. The connections that matter most have a way of finding their way home. Your heart remembers. Even when you think you've forgotten. Especially then,